What's up? Come at you with a short report. Hopefully, I'll be able to come back with a live stream later on tonight. Um, so let's just get into it, okay, guys? There is some stuff going on, and we'll just jump into it. So, Schumann, yeah, guys, we got we were pretty quiet there for I don't know, a couple 3 days. Looks like about 3 days, and then we had this little bit of a enhancement here on the Schumann. And, if you're feeling a little bit crazy, a little bit odd, ringing in your ears, that kind of thing, this could be causing it. Now, keep in mind that I always say, make sure you rule out medical stuff first, okay? Don't just turn your head to the fact that, it can be something physical with your body. I see a lot of people, we're all wired that way. We find something that we might be able to tie back to what's going on with us physically, and we gravitate towards that, and oftentimes we forget to really look at, the obvious, which is right in front of our face. Got a headache, take a Tylenol. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Instead of just automatically just, disregard every other option other than the Schumann. And we definitely do not need to do that. So, but yeah, so if you are feeling a little strange, here you go. This could be it. And what's causing this little uptick, I don't know. We're not, experiencing any kind of uptick in solar weather right now. Matter of fact, things are extremely quiet. So it's not that. Also, the 20 hertz level line here, that thing is still there. It's not, tapering off at all. I don't know what is up with that. Why that just appeared a few days ago and now it's not, coming off of that. I also noticed here a little over 16, probably around 17 hertz level. There's a line there that's been there for quite some time, and we still got our dash lines here too. So there's stuff going on with this, and sometimes this causes stuff. Sometimes things cause this to look like this. So let's just keep that in mind. Okay, so Space Weather Prediction Center. Let me refresh this page while I got you guys here. Obviously, guys, I was talking about this X-ray flux. Okay, that dropped out, and I still have no concrete reason why that happened. People are saying that the sunspots went away, and that's why the solar X-ray dropped out. Well, yeah, the X-ray will drop out when you lose Earth-facing sunspots, but we were in Earth-facing sunspots, no Earth-facing sunspots, blank discs for like a month at a time during solar minimum, and we didn't see this. So what is different now? And then it goes, right back up and does this, and it's moving around. So I don't buy the fact that we just lost active areas facing us. Something else was going on there. I don't know what. I've never seen it drop out like that and then come right back up, a few hours later. I've not ever seen it do that. Not to say that it never has. I personally have never observed that. So if somebody knows what caused that, I haven't gotten any answers on what causes this. Other than, everybody falls back to no sunspots. Come on, man. I mean, if that's the case, then every time we don't have any sunspots facing us, this is what the X-ray flux should look like. And it doesn't. I can take you back and show you video after video that isn't the case. So just kind of keep that in mind. Solar proton flux, that's radiation storms. Nothing going on there. Geomagnetic activity, obviously this is what we usually are concerned with. Notice how everything went to low conditions, and now it's even lower. And I'll show you why here in just a second. But if this continues much longer, they will issue a cosmic ray alert. So kind of know that. And when a cosmic ray alert gets issued, it's more so for people that fly, especially up towards the poles. That's really where the first concern comes in. But yeah, and with our magnetic field being 25% weaker than what it was, any kind of cosmic rays that do impact us, a lot of them do make it through now. Coronal holes. That's going to be a big story here in the coming days, okay, guys? Notice, again, no sunspots facing us, but there is an active area here getting ready to crest over. This is active. That's a little active area. That's putting out some X-ray. All right, so my point here, like I was saying before, we've seen this for weeks upon weeks, but we never seen this. So I'm not buying it. I'm sorry, just not. I don't know what caused it, but I can tell you, in my opinion, I don't think it's just because the sunspots faded away, and we haven't had sunspots for, over a week. But, for me, it's kind of odd when we got that unexpected hit that nobody was talking about, except, well, I guess I was talking about it, and I can't remember, somebody else had mentioned that maybe possibly we could be getting a sideways blow from that CME that did hit us with that shockwave. It happened right after that. It was like the next day is when this happened. So I don't know what was happening there, guys. Still don't. But here's ACE conditions. Obviously, just looking at this, you can tell things are very, very normal. Things are really just in ambient, quiet conditions. Nothing really much going on. Solar wind speed, 3 to 500 is normal. It's at 4. Okay. Density, yeah, it's a little elevated. The high end here is 10 on the range right now, and normal is 4. But it's nothing that's going to cause any kind of big issues. The phi angle staying really, really stable. That is the polarity of the solar wind itself. Remember, the solar wind is charged particles that travels from the sun to the earth. Okay? How does it travel? It travels on a magnetic connection line. The reason why is because it's charged. It has a positive and a negative. So it follows those lines of magnetism between the sun and the earth. And the polarity of it, just like any other magnet, it can flip. And it flips often with the phi angle. Okay? And when it does, it gives us a little jolt. But this right here, nothing big. Look at the BZ. Right at 0. I mean, yeah, things are really quiet. You're going to notice here, look at the range. You're looking at 0 to 20. Typically, this thing is like 0 to 10. So this right here is a little uptick in what this thing is trying to see or show. This is conditions at Earth according to the NOAA model, which is what this is. Okay, I'll show you a NASA model here in a minute, and it's pretty much going to say the same thing. But sometimes they agree with each other, sometimes they disagree. But, it's much like hurricane forecasting. If you guys ever watch that on, like, the Weather Channel, you'll see the spaghetti models, and they're showing what each model is trying to show, what it thinks the direction the hurricane's going to take and how powerful it's going to be. If you look at those, you'll notice there's like 20 of them, if not more sometimes, and they're always a little different from each other. Some of them are like really different from others. But that's what I'm trying to say here. This model and this model look very similar, but this is NASA's model, and that's NOAA's. So, we got a couple different viewpoints there. Auroras, they're backed off, nothing going on here. Notice how our magnometers have just pretty much flatlined, nothing rising or lower, peaks or valleys here at all. The electron flux is very stable. Again, not much going on. Oops, what'd I do there? Oh, never mind. Anyway, here we go with this. This is the magnetosphere. The sun's off to the left. The solar wind moves from left to right on this model because the sun's to the left. And this is showing us the speed of that wind, of those charged particles. Okay? This here is the density, and then this would be the pressure. So I'm pushing play to get these models to go. And here they go. You're seeing it. It's not moving very much. Why? Well, because things are really quiet. So I'm going to just pause it and grab it. I'm not going to waste too much time here because there's really not much to see. Just to be honest. Okay, things are staying pretty consistently in the same spot. So I don't expect this to change for a couple days, but I do expect it to change after that. What we're going to see here, guys, is the Australian model. It's showing us the same thing. The sun's to the left, the Earth's off to the right. I can hit play here again, and what you're going to see, this is the density, this is the speed, that's the BZ. This is the most simple one to look at. Remember, normal density is 4, normal wind speed is between 3 and 500 kilometers per second. So, this thing isn't hardly even moving. So we're not catching any kind of weather at all there, space weather. Now this is the geoelectric model, and I only got this for the United States area. I don't think they even have these tools for other areas of the globe yet, at least not here at USGS. I'm not sure if there are any other models trying to do the same thing this is doing elsewhere, but this is trying to tell us space weather's effect on our electrical grid. Unnatural electrical components, transformers, wires, all that, okay? So what you're seeing here is a little bit of a, fluctuation. We are taking some, but it's not huge, okay? I don't expect to see much. Now, I will say this, guys. I've been noticing that, number one, the internet's been running really slow, and I'm not the only one saying that. This is like at least here in our neck of the woods, and basically I don't think it's a global thing at this point, but I have noticed that a lot of people here in the States are saying the same thing. But I also have cable. And my cable, you can tell when we're having space weather sometimes, because you'll see like the pixelization will glitch out on your picture. And the reason why is because stuff is slowing down, it's having trouble communicating, getting that data going through there. As a matter of fact, I just looked at my TV just now and it just did it again. And that's not normal. It's been happening for a few days now. And yes, we are seeing a little bit of space weather. It's not nothing drastic or anything like that, but it is something I've been noticing. Seeds. Seeds is not updating, and I don't know why. I'm not even going to go into this because there's nothing really much to show you. There's like 3 captures here on the 13th, and we get nothing on the 14th. Stereo A, which is our sideways view, the satellite's here, Earth is here. We got some data here, but nothing really much is happening right here, guys. Okay, as far as CMEs and stuff go, this is those 2 CMEs from the other day. I'm not even going to waste time here anymore on it. Okay, so now what we're going to talk about first is this. This is an eclipse of the SDO satellite. All right, the SDO satellite's the one that gives us one of these views. It's the one that sits right out in front of Earth, and it looks at the sun, and it orbits with the Earth around the sun. Always looking at the sun. And it has an eclipse season. Sometimes what happens, the Earth will actually be between the satellite and the sun, but this time, this is actually the moon. And it goes through there, and you can go watch it for yourself, but they're talking about how this is actually a good thing for them, because they're able to, if you guys can see, you can see the surface of the moon isn't like completely flat. They're able to adjust things here and get information and data on how their telescope is actually working. Okay? But just know that that's what's happening there. It's nothing to be concerned about. This is very predictable. They tell you when this is going to happen down to the minute. So this is nothing that's nefarious. So that's what I will say. Coronal holes. This is the southern, that's the northern. Notice how they're both starting to stretch down to the equatorial regions. Okay, what's going to happen here is we're already connected to this one for sure. Alright, so here in the next couple days, we're going to start getting an increased solar wind stream from this. And then this northern one's actually starting to stretch down too. So with that being said, we could see an extended period of increased solar weather. And what that means is, we could be looking at geomagnetic unrest. And so what does that mean? Well, if too much of that is happening, we get into, geomagnetic storm levels. And that's when we start looking at increased auroras, and then if it's really, really bad, which typically doesn't happen with the coronal holes, you're not talking about power outages or nothing, guys. Okay, not typically with a coronal hole. You need CMEs and things like that to cause that. But something else I want to mention here is that the percentage of the chance of us having any kind of flaring with no sunspots facing us is like less than 1%. So until we start seeing some more sunspots, I don't think we're going to see much action here, guys, other than this. Now the sun reverted back to more of a solar minimum type of signature. That's its habit right now. Now listen, that's very typical for early on in the sun cycle. Okay, we're in the, we're coming out of the solar minimum into the, the second year of the sun cycle, and this is what we expect. We'll get real active, and then we'll get slow again. We'll get real active, and then eventually the slow periods will shorten and shorten and shorten, and we'll just stay active. Okay, it won't take it long. Typically, it's this year. Okay, and then we'll be very active by the end of the year, and then we'll stay that way for multiple years in a row. Noctilucent clouds. Okay, we're going to talk about this for a minute. This right here is what we've been talking about as far as, what causes these. Okay, what causes these is water vapor gets high up into the atmosphere, the highest parts of our atmosphere, and it freezes around meteor dust. That's what causes these things. So it happens in the summertime in each hemisphere. So right now it's summertime in the southern hemisphere, so that means the Noctilucent cloud season is there. Now 6 months from now, obviously it's going to be in the northern hemisphere, North Pole. But right now, this is where they're at. Remember, they were like 2 weeks late. But what was odd, if you guys remember, I reported on they seen some of these in Argentina. We don't typically see them up that far, just a handful of times. That was back on like the 3rd. Well, they seen them again on the 10th in Argentina. So now we have a trend. And this is not, like I said, this is, I think they've been recording these Noctilucent cloud things for like 50 years. And it's only, like I said, it's only happened a handful of times outside of the Arctic Circle here that they've seen them. Well, now we've seen them twice in 2021. So what are we talking about here? What would it take for that to have to happen? Well, what I'm going to do here is, first off, I'm just going to take you here, and this is the earthquakes. Obviously, this is we'll go over this real quick while I'm here, but we are still having some earthquakes, guys. You can tell how things are kind of slow. I don't want to call them slow. They're kind of normal as far as activity amount. Is what I'll say. It's what it looks like to me. I don't see like extreme activity or anything like that. But we are still seeing some decent sized ones pop off. They're not really in any kind of odd locations. I know some people might think this one up here might be odd. It's not. We see them there sometimes. Okay, even down here. All right. The ones that we think are odd are the ones that, like that what happened in Mongolia the other day. Those are the ones that are odd. We got some of them here in the middle of the country, but nothing too crazy is going on with this right now. Not that I've seen. But notice that when this started getting a little bit quiet again, what else was getting quiet? Solar weather. Is it related? You guys answer that question for yourself. For me, I think it is. But and there's a lot of other studies and stuff now coming out talking about it, and I'm not the only one that thinks this. Ron's talked about it. Ron Tyler at Emergency Management Associates. Ricky's talked about it. A lot of people here have talked about it. Okay, I do think it does have an effect. Just saying. That's just my opinion. So, what's the Noctilucent cloud situation? Well, what would it take? Because down here is Argentina, right? What would it take for this? Ask yourself that. What would it take? It would take the meteor dust, number one, would have to come up here. It would have to leave, some of it would have to leave the South Pole. Then come up here, Argentina. And then you would have to have the temperature be the right temperature high up in our atmosphere and the water vapor all at the same time. So all those conditions that causes it had to move from the Arctic up to Argentina in order for that to happen. What could cause that? Well, you're looking at it right here. This is the jet streams. Well, this is just the wind patterns, but the jet streams themselves have been getting all jacked up and messed up. Okay, we've been talking about this for a while, and I'm only bringing this up because this is something that does point to our jet streams are not doing what they typically do. Things are not the same. All right. Yes, we expect odd things to happen from time to time, but right now, when you start seeing that kind of stuff, and what's happening, in my opinion, is the jet stream has allowed for the meteor dust, number one, to make it further north. It's kind of brought some of it over here, right? Brought it further north, and the temperature itself had to change some. So, and we are talking high up in the atmosphere, okay? The higher up you go, obviously, the colder it gets. That's just the way that it works, okay? And these don't form unless it's in the highest parts of our atmosphere. So all that would have to take place, plus you'd have to have the right amount of water vapor getting up there, which usually typically comes from, like, you know, the heating of the Arctic waters, or even glacier melt adding those vapors into the atmosphere. But you're not really getting that over Argentina. You shouldn't. You get some of that, the temperature is going to change and add maybe a little bit more in the summertime. But yeah, so all three of those had to change for us to see Noctilucent clouds up this far north. So in my opinion, I think it does have something to do with our weather patterns. What's making our weather patterns change? That is a huge subject, and I'm not getting into that in this video. So just know. But notice, like I said, guys, that's a very odd and rare thing for us to be seeing Noctilucent clouds up here in Argentina, and it's happened twice now this year, and within a week or two of each other. I think it happened on the 3rd and happened on the 10th, so a week apart. So that should tell you right there that something's a little off. So yeah. Guys, I'll probably come back with another video later on tonight, guys. I was going to show you ISWA. That's another thing, guys. I've been noticing that ISWA is running really slow, or any NASA site that I go to is running extremely slow, and I'm not really sure why. They could be having server issues or whatever, but who knows. But just know, guys, that things are still happening, and I think right now what we need to be paying more attention to is the coronal holes. That's what's going to give us the space weather the next couple days. The coronal hole streams are going to start arriving, and you're going to see our geomagnetism start going up. Now, they're not saying it's going to get into storm level, but we could, up here on the 17th, I look for this to be changed a little bit. I look for this to be like reading 3s at least. So we'll just keep an eye on it, and if anything happens on the sun, I'll definitely come back to you. If we see anything happening with quakes and stuff, I'll probably be doing a live stream tonight. I haven't forgot about the live streams, guys. I'm still going to be doing them. I just haven't the past couple days. I just have to be honest with you guys. All the stuff that's going on, I had to step back for a second. Okay, I'm not going to come out here and be all negative. And that's where my mind was at. So I stepped back for just a couple days and had to regroup my own head. And I'm good now. So anyway, I just want you guys to know that. I'm be doing some live streaming just like I always have been. I'm just adding these short ones in here. So anyway, guys, God bless. Yahusha saves, and you can drink this Kool-Aid.